This is Gus Summers, and you're watching In-Show Celebrities. This is the time I take every Monday to talk about some of my favorite films and actors. This week, we have another grand talent of Hollywood. This fine actress has starred in some of Hollywood's greatest films alongside some of Hollywood's best actors. And her reward for some of these great projects have been, of course, Oscar nominations and Oscar wins. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Miss Geena Davis. She started off coming to the bright lights and big city, started off as a model, and then of course worked her way into television and movies. She got roles in such movies as Tootsie and The Accidental Tourist and so many others. Right away, she established herself as a actress that can do anything from comedy to serious drama to action. Everyone got to know what a wonderful actress she was and would become, and established herself as a leading lady, not only in film, but in television. Well, first up is a film that was a box office smash. It told the story of the first women's league during the 1940s, during World War II. Of course, the film I'm talking about is A League of Their Own. She stars as Dottie, a young woman whose husband is off at war, who stayed home on the farm with her parents and her sister, just waiting for her husband to return home so they can start again with their marriage, raise a family and kids. And she just wanted to be, a wonderful mother and wife and a homemaker. But in addition to that, she was a fantastic athlete. She played in the local baseball league with her younger sister, Kit. Kit, portrayed wonderfully by Lori Petty. She plays, as I mentioned, Kit, Dottie's younger sister, Geena Davis's younger sister. And there's always a bit of a sibling rivalry between the two. Well, one day there happens to be a scout looking at watching one of the games and sees them play. He goes to the farm and asks Geena Davis if she would like to be part of the first women's baseball league, because all the men were at war. Baseball has pretty much come to a complete stop, and America, was wanting their pastime to, somehow continue. So some of the owners got together and thought, let's start a ladies' league to take their place. So the recruit is going around different spots in the United States trying to recruit women. So he saw Dottie and says, love to give you a shot. The recruit, Mr. John Lovitz, he's sarcastic and rude, the thing that John Lovitz does best. So he tries to convince Dottie. She says she doesn't want to go. She's happy with her life. Her sister, Kit, convinces her. She says, "Can you go, please?" He said, "If you go, I can go. I got to get off the farm." So to help her sister, she decides to go. So when she goes to the tryouts, that's when she meets, all sorts of wonderful characters. Of course, two characters that she meets who become her teammate are Doris and May. Doris, a wonderful comedian, Rosie O'Donnell, and May, the pop icon herself, Madonna. They play women who are, again, trying to do more with their lives, so they think this baseball league will help change their lives. So, they at first there's friction, and then they, become together and become a strong team. Well, there is the marketing manager who's putting all this together. His name is Ira Lowenstein, a great actor who portrays him. David Strathairn. He he's the wonder kid for the company, and he's the one that says, we can do this. This can really happen. We can make America love this league. So there's him, and then there's one other person. It's the manager. He's basically a washed up drunk, left over from yesteryear of the baseball glory days. His name is Jimmy Dugan. He's portrayed wonderfully by Mr. Tom Hanks. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to manage a women's team because they're not ball players. They don't know how to play ball. So for most of the games, he's checked out. He's drunk. He's asleep. The Geena Davis ends up she ends up managing the team, doing the lineup, giving the signals, telling him how to play. And what ends up happening is, as life goes, people begin to come together. They start taking interest in each other's lives. Well, in one particular game, Tom Hanks notices, hey, triple. Yeah, she did all right. Hey, they're playing all right. Well, as he's watching, it's towards the end of the game, and Geena Davis gives one of the girls a sign and that she wants her to bunt. And he's all, hey, what are you doing? No, don't do that. Have her hit. And he does the sign. She goes, no, have her bunt. And she does the sign again. He goes, you're crazy. He goes, the winning run's right there. You're going to have her do a squeeze bunt. She's our best hitter. Well, she's going to knock it out of the ballpark. Give the fans, give a little show. Let her hit. So he does this sign. She goes, no. And they're doing dueling signs. And he's all, who's the manager of this team? She says, well, start acting like it, you bum. He's does a sign for the hitter to hit. She whacks it out of the ballpark, and everyone's happy. And he goes, you see, and Geena Davis, all right. And at that point, the team starts to come together. And what's great about the film is that you start getting invested in the players' lives. You learn a little bit about each one. And of course, you get invested in Geena Davis's life. She talks about her husband being at war. Some of the other players, their husbands are at war, and you're getting to know them. And it was a great movie because it was done beautifully. You had the intimate scenes. You had the big baseball scenes. It was based in fact. You had great acting. And the whole film was a wonderful package. It was a smash hit, as I mentioned. But I do want to mention one scene. There's a scene where they're on the bus, the whole team, and they're driving to their next game. And Tom Hanks is talking to Geena Davis, and they're just chit-chatting. And what's happened with them is that they've become friends, platonic friends. He has a love for baseball. She has a love for baseball. And he sees she's talented and she knows who he was, and they start talking. And what ends up happening on that one scene is that, he goes, come here, look at this. And they're looking at the paper and they're chit-chatting. And you can see, what I liked about it is that you can see that they developed a platonic, intimate friendship. It's very rare that you see that in movies. He has no interest in her as a love interest, and nor she him, but they're caring about each other. And their bond is baseball. He loves baseball. She's loving baseball. And how they start to talk to each other. And in that scene, there is no connection other than a wonderful friendship. Great little scene. Fantastic movie. There's great scenes. Like there's one where news reporters were there, and Lowenstein tells the team, can you do something spectacular? And Geena Davis, it's a boring game. Geena Davis sees the players. There's a pop-up ball, and she runs to it and does the splits and catches it. And they're all like, wow, that's great. Who is she? What'd she do? So, anyways, of course, there's team rivalries. Of course, her and Laura Petty, they're still sisters and they're still bickering. But great film. You got to see it. The beginning, the ending will especially the ending will definitely touch you. Anyways, A League of Their Own. The next film, it's definitely a film of its time, and you have to take it lightly. It is a pirate movie. The film Cutthroat Island. She plays Morgan Adams, the daughter of a pirate. She too is a pirate, and she's after the family treasure. Her great grandfather, her grandfather had raided this Spanish ship with tons of gold, and he hid it. And there's maps and so on and so forth. I talk about it because the action's good. It's light. It's friendly. It's a mix of, you just gotta take it, like I said, for what it is. It's just a fun little movie that you can watch. Well, her father, Black Harry, he had sent for her, but another pirate got to him first and was going to execute him. And it turned out to be his own brother. His name is Dog. Portrayed wonderfully by another great actor, Frank Langella. I love Frank Langella in this. It looks like he added about 20 pounds of muscle. I mean, he looks fit and strong. It looks the biggest that he's ever been. He's always been, a real tall, kind of slender guy. But he's really been, he's really built. And he always has his voice, but his voice and his demeanor and his look, it just fit perfect for playing a pirate, and the way he talks and such. It was great. So he got Geena Davis's dad, who happens to be his brother, and he's trying to get away. One of Frank Langella's men shoots him, so he's dying. Geena Davis and him get away, and her father tells him, I'm dying. My ship is yours. My crew is yours. Go get the gold. But before you leave, shave my head, because there's a reason why I want you to shave my head. Well, she goes back to the men. Says, my father's giving me the ship. Let us go get the gold. They go, you don't even know where the gold is at. She goes, I do. Here's a map. And they're like, what is this? This pigskin? They're all like, that's his scalp. She scalped him. He had the map tattooed on his head underneath his hair, so she had to scalp him. So she's carrying his scalp. So they agree, but the problem is that they think it's written in Latin. So they have to go find someone who speaks Latin. And not only do they have to find someone who speaks Latin, Dog, Frank Langella, they know is also pursuing them. And so they go to a particular port where her other uncle, who has another part of the map, is. And so she tries to convince him, look, I have the other map. Let us come together, and we too can take on Frank Langella, and we can get his map and get the gold. So they're there. But first they try to find someone who speaks Latin. They know one person. He's in jail. He's a shyster. He pretends to be a doctor. An aristocrat. His name is William Shaw, portrayed by Mr. Matthew Modine. He's got that smiley look that he gets, where he's kind of a bit of a weasel. But he does great at it, because that's what the role calls for. So anyways, she gets him, and they go meet her uncle, and he says, no, you're bringing trouble. And when she finally convinces him, Frank Langella shows up, and he says, you see, you brought trouble. So then the whole town, big fight scene, and so on and so forth. I don't want to give too much away, because you end up, certain things happen there. So anyways, but she does escape, and then, she takes off to go after the gold, and of course Frank Langella is after her. And there's mutiny, there's, ships, there's battles, there's sword fights, great, like I said, it's a great film. It's light, the action, the music, everything's great. I know you enjoy it. Like I said, it's a pirate movie. It's a modern pirate movie. No I mateys, and no real English or French accents. There are, American accents. So once you get past that, I think you'll like it. But I do want to mention one scene. That's when she saves Matthew Modine, and they're in the town. They're escaping, and the British, soldiers are coming, and they're shooting at him. They steal his carriage, her and Matthew Modine, and they're riding, and she's fighting off the soldiers, and they're going underneath this this awning. The stage host goes underneath. She has to hop up and run through the building. as the stagecoach is running underneath. So she's running through the building, trying to catch up to the stagecoach. The stagecoach, as it's emerging through the building, now we're looking at it, it's coming towards us, and you see a window, and you see the stagecoach come in, and then you see, well, Geena Davis, or the stunt person, running, and as the stagecoach comes through, she jumps through the window, does one tumble, and then as the stagecoach passes, she lands, sits on the stagecoach right next to Matthew Modine, and they take off. It's like, oh, however they did that that stunt was great, because it's like perfect timing if it was a real stunt. If it wasn't, great animation, but this was I think mid '90s, so I don't think they would have had the technology quite yet to film like they would today. So I think it's an actual stunt. There's something I wanted to go find out. I haven't yet, but I will. So maybe you can go look for it too. Great stunt. So look for it when you see it. Cutthroat Island. Well, last film. One of the things that I liked about her is, like I said, again, I remember her from great movies like The Fly. She did great in The Fly. She had the ability to play real demure and friendly, and also to be very strong, like in The League of Her Own. She was a wonderful portrayal of someone who was strong, yet sensitive. She was somewhat of a tomboy, but not quite fully a tomboy. But she loved to play ball. She could run. She could do all these things. In Cutthroat Island, she's athletic. She's, again, not overly masculine, just a strong female. She's one of those early examples of our modern times of a strong female who's not overly masculine, but just strong. Great portrayal. And this next movie takes it to the utmost, which I think is perfect. I can't think of anyone who could have pulled off this role. Another movie by Shane Black. He's great at writing these action genre movies. This is what he does best. The film, The Long Kiss Goodnight. She plays kind of a dual role. She plays Samantha and Charlie. Samantha in the beginning of the film is a mother who has a young daughter, and she works at the PTA. She's a teacher. She cooks and bakes and does all these motherly things. She's very friendly and demure. And what happened was that she had amnesia and no identification. They don't know who she is. Couldn't find out, so she just picked up life where she thought she left off. Well, as the movie progresses, you see people start to see news clippings of Samantha, of this mother. And there's one guy in particular who says, "I can't believe she's alive. I got to get her. He's in prison." And as things are progressing, she's getting these little flashbacks, these little memories of things that she could do. This deep voice saying, "Don't you remember me? Don't you remember? Look at this." And so she's getting these flashbacks. Well, at one point, while she's going home, she's dating somebody, and she has her daughter upstairs. She has a knock on the door, and it's the guy who had seen her from prison saying, "I know you," and it starts just beating her, shooting at her, and doing all kinds of stuff. And she gets in a fight with him and kills him. It's like, well, what's happening? Things are starting to come back to her. And so she wants to find out who she was, or who she is, but she doesn't feel like she knows who she is because these memories are coming back to her. Well, she had hired private detectives, and this last private detective actually got more information on her. And so he says, "Hey, I actually found more about you. There's a suitcase, there's all this stuff." And so she wants to go with him and follow these leads from this suitcase. Well, the detective, his name is Mitch, portrayed by Mr. Samuel L. Jackson. You know, he plays a former police officer who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, spent some time in prison, and now he's a private detective. And a great role for him because it's different from what he normally does. You know, he's still Samuel L. Jackson. You know, usually he's like, you know, the superhero Shaft and all these guys. But in this one, he just plays an ordinary guy. He gets shot. He gets beat up. He gets, you know, he's afraid. And it's Geena Davis that, you know, ends up emerging as, you know, Charlie, this secret agent who, you know, had amnesia and is able to kill and shoot. He's all, what? Who are you? So, you know, the story is that, you know, he's going with her because she paid him. He doesn't really believe her, her memories and so on and so forth. But they end up getting some information about this particular person named Waldman. And so they called him. And he's like, Charlie, is that you? If it's you, it's me. Well, go to this place tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. We'll meet you there. Waldman, another great actor, fantastic actor, Mr. Brian Cox. So he plays Waldman, you know, the guy who knows about her, you know, another agent. And they meet, and before they meet, one of her colleagues tries to kill her because they tapped Brian Cox's phone. And so because things were happening where they go, she's on the grid, she's here, we can get her. While her colleague is Timothy, another great actor, Craig Bierko. You know, he plays Timothy, you know, the secret agent, basically the enforcer, the one who gets things done when no one else can. So he's trying to kill her because they're wondering if she knows about this Operation Honeymoon. And all of a sudden, you know, she's back on the grid, you know, at this inappropriate time. She's making contacts. What's going on? We don't understand. And so she's out there trying to, you know, meet Brian Cox. Greg Bierko is trying to kill her. You know, Samuel L. Jackson's caught in the middle of all this. He's all, what? You know, I'm not getting paid for this. And slowly, her old self is emerging. And then, I don't want to give it away, but, you know, a lot of action, a lot of, you know, great scenes, great actors that, you know, they're on the screen just for a short time, but, you know, do such great work to really drive the story forward. You know, again, this is a movie where I couldn't think of another actress that really could fit this part. Because, again, like as I mentioned, she is one of those actresses that, you know, is strong and, you know, fits the role of not being masculine, but just being a strong female, which is perfect. You know, and it fits perfect in all these roles, because all these roles required a strong woman, not one overly masculine, but just someone who's strong, get the job done. So another great movie, you got to check it out. You know, The Long Kiss Goodnight. You know, and these are just some of the films that she's done. Of course, you know, we know of Thelma and Louise. You know, of course, another wonderful film. You know, just to mention a few. But today's films were A League of Her Own, Cutthroat Island, and The Long Kiss Goodnight. All of them worth watching. And all these other films, of course, you definitely got to take some time to watch them, because I know you'll enjoy all her work and all her future work that's coming up too as well. Well, that's what I got for you today. Well, this is Gus Summers, and you're watching In-Show Celebrities. And this is the time I take every Monday to talk about some of my favorite films and actors. And of course, don't forget to visit us every Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. At theinshow.com, where I host The In Show. And that's when I bring all sorts of celebrities and guests to talk about some of their projects and whatever it is that they want to talk about. Of course, visit us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Flickr, Instagram, all those great social media sites. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, Gus has left the building.